Apply the handbrake. Chock the front wheels to prevent the car from rolling. Use a breaker bar with a 21mm socket. Break the lug bolts free before lifting the wheel off the ground. Raise the back of the car and support it on jack stands. Lifting the car from an improper point can cause damage. Check your owner's manual to see where to place the jack stands under the chassis of the car. Slowly lower the hydraulic jack so the car rests on the jack stands. Remove the 21mm lug bolts using a ratchet wrench. You may need to loosen these bolts farther by hand. Remove the wheel. Slide the wheel underneath the rear control arm for extra safety. Disengage the handbrake. Remove both 14mm bolts from the caliper. Attach a bungee cord to the suspension or body and pull the caliper top free. Hang up the caliper with the bungee cord to avoid stressing the brake line. Remove the bleeder screw cover. Set up your bleeder hose and bottle. Connect the hose to the bleed valve. Loosen, but do not completely remove, the bleeder screw with a 10mm wrench. Use a brake piston compressor to rotate and retract the piston. You will need to determine what specific attachment is right for your specific piston. Remove the spreader clips. Remove the outer brake pad from the caliper. Remove the old inner brake pad. With a 17mm socket, remove the 2 bolts from the caliper bracket. Remove the caliper bracket. Remove the 2 Phillips head screws that secure the rotor to the hub. Remove the rotor. Use the wire brush to remove rust and buildup. Please wear eye protection and a face mask when brushing or cleaning parts, including brackets. It is good practice to compare your old and new brake rotor to make sure they are the same size and diameter. Install the rotor onto the hub. Reinstall the 2 screws that secure the rotor to the hub. Tighten the screws between 4.9 and 5.9 Newton meters. Remove the 2 abutment clips. Use a wire brush to clean the brake caliper bracket from rust and buildup. Install the new abutment clips. Apply high-temperature brake grease to the clips where they will make contact with the brake pads. Remove the caliper slide pins. Wipe down the caliper slide pins. Grease the slides. Reinstall the slides. Remove any old buildup on the bracket bolts with a wire brush. Using the small packet that's included in your kit, apply high-temperature brake grease to the points on the pads where they will contact the caliper. It's important to be careful not to apply too much, as this could cause other problems such as contaminating the friction surface and inhibiting smooth sliding and movement. Avoid getting the grease on the friction surface or the rotor surface. Install your new outer and inner pads onto the caliper bracket. Reinstall the brake caliper bracket with its 2 17mm bolts. Tighten the 2 17mm bolts to between 78.4 and 98 Newton meters. Install the 2 spreader clips into the pads. Remove any old buildup on the caliper bolts with a wire brush. Remove the cable or wire that you used to hang the caliper on. Reassemble the caliper with the 2 14mm bolts. Tighten the 2 14mm bolts to between 21.6 and 31.4 Newton meters. Use a 10mm box wrench to loosen the bleeder valve. Press the brakes pedal multiple times until the fluid flows out of the bleeder valve smoothly without any air bubbles. Tighten the bleeder valve with a 10mm box wrench. Remove your hose system and detach the hose from the bleeder valve. Reinstall the bleeder screw cover. Clean up excess fluid. Remove the wheel from under the rear control arm. Reinstall the wheel over the hub and align the mounting holes. Insert the lug bolts and lightly tighten them. With a 21mm socket, lightly tighten them in a star pattern. Raise the jack so you can remove the jack stands. Slowly lower the jack. Remove the jack. Apply the handbrake. Using a torque wrench with a 21mm socket, tighten the bolts in a star pattern to between 107.9 and 127.5 Newton meters. Disengage the handbrake. Without starting the engine, press the brake pedal several times until you feel significant resistance. Check the brake fluid level and refill if necessary. Remove the wheel chock.